Pleasure is not evil. That's the first thing the Stoics would clarify. Life is not meant to be a cold, gray experience of a beautiful sunset, a warm drink, the laughter of a friend. These are pleasures. They are natural, even necessary, but here lies the danger. When pleasure becomes the master, instead of the servant, it quietly transforms from a comfort into a cage. Seneca warned us about this centuries ago, and yet his words have never been more relevant than now. In an age where pleasure is marketed as happiness, indulgence is praised as self-care, and every whim is just a click away. Seneca didn't despise pleasure. He lived in wealth, owned estates, had access to fine food and luxurious, but unlike most, he didn't let those things define him. He reminded himself daily that they could disappear, and that his well-being should never depend on what could be lost. He said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." Pleasure, unchecked, makes a person soft, not only in body, but in will. And the Stoic seeks to strengthen the will, not satisfy the flesh. The danger of pleasure lies not in the thing itself, but in our attachment to it. We begin to expect it, then we fear losing it, and now we are not free. We are anxious, defensive, addicted. The man who cannot live without wine is not enjoying it. He is owned by it. The woman who panics without her phone is not free. She is a servant in disguise. Seneca warned that excessive pleasure is the path to weakness, because it teaches the soul to avoid discomfort, and discomfort is the forge of strength. Most people misunderstand Stoicism and think it demands a life of misery, but that's not what Seneca taught. He taught mastery, not misery. He taught detachment, not denial. You can enjoy a fine meal, but don't become the kind of person who cannot function without it. You can own beautiful things, but don't let your sense of identity hang from their price tags. The Stoic enjoys life, but never needs it to be pleasurable in order to remain stable. That's the key. When your peace depends on pleasure, your peace is always in danger. Pleasure is subtle. It whispers, not shouts. It convinces you that you deserve more. It tells you that discomfort is failure. It teaches you to equate ease with happiness, and over time, you lose the ability to endure, to focus, to persist, because your soul has been trained to flinch at the slightest inconvenience. The Stoic sees this happening and stops it. He interrupts the cycle by choosing moments of voluntary discomfort, not because he hates himself, but because he loves freedom more than comfort, and freedom requires strength. Seneca urged his students to occasionally live with less, to eat coarse food, to wear humble clothes, to sleep without luxury, not as punishment, but as practice. He said, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself, the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?' Because once you learn that, you can survive, even thrive. Without pleasure, you remove its power over you. The greatest danger of pleasure is that it trains the soul to forget pain, and when pain inevitably comes, as it always does, the untrained soul collapses. The Stoic does not pretend that pain is pleasant, but he is ready for it. He is not surprised by it, and he does not curse life for being life. He accepts the full range of experience, joy, sorrow, gain, loss. He builds a mind that can weather storms, not just enjoy sunshine. In modern life, pleasure is everywhere. Constant entertainment, endless choices, on-demand satisfaction. But what does this abundance create? Not gratitude, not depth. Often, it creates restlessness, because pleasure, when overfed, becomes boring, numb, empty. That's why so many people keep chasing more. More food, more sex, more clicks, more purchases, but feel less. Seneca knew this pattern long before the smartphone existed. He called it the sickness of the soul that cannot be still. The Stoic solution is not to run from pleasure, but to put it in its proper place, to treat it as seasoning, not substance, to enjoy it when it comes, but never to cling, to remember that pleasure is fleeting, but character is lasting, that luxury can be lost, but discipline endures, that comfort is nice, but clarity is better. And when forced to choose, the Stoic always chooses what strengthens, not what softens. Seneca believed that pleasure should be earned, not demanded. He wrote, "The greatest pleasures are only narrowly separated from disgust." He was warning us. What feels good now may feel empty tomorrow. What flatters the senses may corrupt the soul. The more you consume, the more numb you become. And eventually, nothing satisfies. Unless You train your soul to take joy in simple things, in quiet discipline, in the freedom of needing less. This is not a message the modern world wants to hear. It wants you dependent, addicted, always reaching, always wanting, never resting. But the Stoic stands against this current. He says no. He simplifies. He reduces. He sharpens his desires down to what matters: truth, courage, and in doing so, he becomes richer than kings, not in gold, but in sovereignty. So ask yourself, what pleasures own me? What comforts have become chains? What indulgences have weakened my character? And more importantly, am I willing to face a little discomfort so I can reclaim my strength? Because this is not about rejection. It is about redirection. You are not denying yourself pleasure to suffer. You are redirecting your energy toward freedom. And that is Seneca's final lesson. Pleasure is not the problem. The problem is when pleasure becomes the point, when it becomes the purpose of your day, the measure of success, the reason for waking up. The Stoic reclaims that reason. He wakes up to grow, to serve, to master himself, and if pleasure comes along, he welcomes it, but he never depends on it. Because the soul that needs nothing possesses everything.